Welcome back to Simply Green Radio here on News Radio 1180 WHAM. Simply Green Radio brought to you by Simply Green Energy and Mr. Rooter Plumbing. In studio with Maurice Aubrey, Pete Marisi, True Story Pete, and also Brenna Hartman, and our guest tonight, Ernie Day, the GM of Global Point Energy. I will let you guys start up the conversation again with Ernie. I'm learning a lot here, and I hope the listeners are too. 222-1180. Again, that number, 222-1180.
Yeah, Ernie, I'd like to know, what does one of these systems typically run at, for a homeowner that wants to heat their hot water with solar? And, are they as efficient as some of these older units that we used to see on the sides of houses? And they weren't very sightly back in the 70s. Yeah. But, can you maybe just explain a little bit the difference of the technology, if you can? And I do know, we were kind of just joking around a little bit off air about how, technologies have come a long ways. I don't think any one of us pulled up here in a Model A. Technology changes. I'm surprised that Brenna drives what she drives, and as I pull up alongside of her, my little Prius that I absolutely love, it doesn't even take $30 to fill it up yet. But again, as technology has advanced, is there a big difference than the solar panels that used to be on houses?
Oh, there's no question about it. The evacuated tube has come so far. I mean, it was two different places in the world laid claim to inventing it, but back in the late 70s, early 80s. But it has really been something that the technology of the heat pipe alone, anybody in HVAC knows what a heat pipe is and how far they've come along. The fluids that they use inside the heat pipe as it boils, goes up into the condenser, condenses the vapor back down in, and it just cycles back and forth. The design of the manifolds, as it takes the heat away, they're much more efficient. You don't have as many losses in them. There's just so many things. And as I mentioned before, the coating of the inner tube that's doing all the absorption from the sun, that really is one of the key elements as well.
What would you credit? Has it been the last decade that the technology has really focused on, this technology, or has it been, a steady, slow growth over the last 30, 40 years?
Well, I think the most obvious thing that drives a lot of the green movement is when you pull up to the gas pump, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
Not only that, but every time the truck pulls up to the house and pumps a couple 100 gallons of fuel oil into your tank, or you get your natural gas bill or something like that, you take a look at it. As the one caller mentioned, the electric bills. I mean,
oh yeah,
you start to think about that. That's really one of the things that drives this.
Yeah, and also going towards the renewables and making sure that we are self-sustaining here and becoming more sustainable, right? And not relying on foreign oil and resources that are non-renewable.
Absolutely, and I hear that from a lot of people. They really like the idea of being self-sufficient, not relying on foreign oils and fossil fuels and carbon footprint. I mean, we actually do some of those calculations if people ask for it. How many trees are we saving?
I will say this, that, I think no matter who it's been, whatever expert we've had on the show, anyone that knows anything about renewable and whether or not it's, the right time to install, whether it be solar or, geothermal, or wind, whatever. One thing I think everybody can certainly agree upon, and that is the cost of energy. It's expensive today, and it's just going to get more expensive. And I have never seen the price of energy go backwards.
There's no doubt about that.
That's, we had an early on guest, John Balone. He put a geothermal system in a 70, 80-year-old building here in the city of Rochester. And this always just, really blows my mind when I think about it. At the time when he was doing his calculations, he thought it was going to be about a 3 to 5 year payback. I think it was 5 to 7 year. I'd have to check, but of course the price of gas skyrocketed that next winter, and he ended up taking him about 2.5 years to pay back. So, and same can be said for any one of these technologies I think that we do today, where, you have to make your calculations when you're calculating whether or not this is worth it to a homeowner to install a system, and all you could really use are current pricing. Isn't that correct?
That is exactly
And
right.
then, if the price doubles, which, we hope it doesn't, but we certainly know it's going to go up.
The conservative approach is to use exactly what today's figures are, knowing full well, everybody else is feeling the same thing we are when we open the bills in the mail of our utilities.
Right. But, Ernie, what, again, I kind of brushed on, I know I asked you quite a few questions. What would it take? Say I wanted to put, one of these systems in my house to heat my hot water.
For a basic system, when you talk about a 30-tube collector, your average residential home, before the tax credits, anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000. You've got, and I sometimes get this backwards, I think it's 30% from the state and 25% from the feds, so you're looking at a 55% discount right away. Some of the other things,
and those are tax credits.
Tax credits, that's
it's
right.
Real.
That's
right. That's like the real McCoy. At the
Yeah,
end,
that's a
right
dollar
now,
for dollar.
right.
Yeah, dollar for dollar.
Being that tomorrow is our deadline.
Exactly.
That's right. That's
Better
right.
hurry up and get one of these things tonight.
Well, Ernie, what I wanted to ask you is, solar thermal can be combined with geothermal.
Absolutely.
When is it a good idea? How does one know when you need a hybrid system? How does that work?
I guess when you start to look at geothermal and solar thermal together,
Right.
It's pretty obvious that solar thermal is at its best and it's most productive and efficient when you need it the least, the summertime. Geo works year-round, but is primarily looked at for heating purposes. I mean, you fellas
Right.
install them. You know
Yes.
where I'm coming
Right.
from there.
That's right.
So when you combine the two systems together, and instead of being concerned about the extra heat, the dissipation, it's much better to put it right back into the ground. So you have a hybrid system.
You're basically using the earth as your big battery.
Exactly.
222-1180, the number to call if you want to join in on the conversation. Again, that number 222-1180. This is Simply Green Radio, brought to you by Simply Green Energy and Mr. Rooter Plumbing, a website that we can give out to you tonight, folks. MySimplyGreenEnergy.com, MySimplyGreenEnergy.com. We are in studio with Maurice Aubry, Mo, Pete Marisi, True Story Pete, Brenna Hartman, and our guest tonight, Ernie Day, the GM of Global Point Energy. We do need to cut away for our final break of the hour, and then we'll be back with our last segment. And then at the top of the hour, New York Yankees baseball, live from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, the Yankees taking on the Texas Rangers. We will be back with Simply Green Radio here on News Radio 1180 WHAM.